That button. And we hit this button here. And then I literally destroy everybody's eardrums. Welcome to Beerfield Fantasy Football. I am your host at Hot BFF with 2 P's, as always, joined by Theory BFF with 2 F's. Dan's in Springfield. I am in Collinsville now, actually.
Ooh.
The graphic's wrong. Wait, I didn't take down the intro graphic. It's on the far monitor to my left, which my back is literally too. Oh, no, I don't have location there anymore. We're good. All right, cool.
I promise we've done this before.
Yeah, we have. It's new. It's exciting. I'm in a different spot. Back in Illinois. Good to be back. Hell of a move. House still isn't all the way put together. But I joined everybody on Sunday for the first time from here. We're going to try to do those earlier, I think. For those that aren't subscribed on YouTube, Beerfield Fantasy Football on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the notification icon to know when we go live. We're going to start trying to do that around probably, 9:30 to 10:15 range instead of the 11 o'clock range. Give some early advice, get some more participation. That seems to work out better for us. Everybody and their mother goes live at 11, so we don't want to be like them. We want to be us. We want to be the best us we can be, which is like not a great anybody else, but it's a good us.
You want to be slightly above average. Yeah, I think that about sums it up. You don't want to go when all the heavyweights go. And we also like to do coffee field.
Yeah.
Fantasy football, and we can't do that at 11 o'clock we could, but
little fish in a big pond doesn't work out so well. Big fish in a small pond works out better.
I agree.
Or medium-sized fish in a small pond. Anyway, yeah, we got some stuff to get to today. So we're going to, obviously we'll talk about some of the bigger news over the weekend. We'll get into that right after we preview what we're drinking. Then I'm got some quizzicals for Dan here. We got about 6 Guess Who I Am players. Had to make sure I wrote down all 6 on my sticky note. I did. And then we'll preview week 6. And I promise you, every player I've got written down is relevant to week 5. So we're not shafting week 5. It's just I was starting to write it out as we were reviewing games. It's like, is this guy a must start? Is this guy a must start? Is this guy a must start? Okay, this is boring. Let's spice it up a little more. So that's what we're doing. We like spice.
We do.
All right. But before we do that, of course, got to tell you what we're drinking. Oh, yeah. Beer. Beerfield FF on Twitter. Hot BFF on Twitter. Theory BFF on Twitter. Beerfield Fantasy Football on YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit the notification icon to know when we go live. Show up, interact with us, ask questions, hang out. Sunday morning live streams, of course, on Sunday mornings. All your latest news, COVID, ins, outs, fantasy questions answered. We pride ourselves on having a small enough audience to get to everything. So, shouldn't
That's right.
Into that.
What's fueling Beerfield?
All right, Dan, what you drinking? By the way, I like your hashtag the Brainiac shirt.
The Brainiacs, yes,
to
shirt. Our fallen friend James.
Rest in peace.
Rest in power, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I am drinking Surly 14. This is a barrel-aged barley wine. It is aged on Parker Heritage wheat whiskey barrels. They got beer nerds and whiskey nerds alike at my store, all up in enjoyment. So I picked up one of these.
So Parker's Heritage, excellent bourbon, released yearly by Parker's Heritage's Beam, I think. I'm gonna get shit for that if I'm wrong. I'm gonna vet that real quick. Surprised you're going with Surly though, given the fact that they generally prove themselves to be shitbags.
They are shitbags, but I've had a lot of beers from this area, and unfortunately, Surly is the only Minnesota beer that I can get down here right now. I mean, there is some Fulton laying around, but they don't have the same type of I guess presence in Central Illinois as they would in like Chicago or something. So I wanted to bring them on. I have gone pretty lukewarm against Surly for the shit that they've done to their employees or the closing down stores and shit like that. So not stores, but closing down their original brewery. It's just
the tasting room and pretty much saying screw your employees because they're trying to unionize, but neither here nor there. I refuse to touch them, despite the fact that they're in Parker's Heritage, which is a very limited Heaven Hill release. I was right the first time, and then I second-guessed myself. Started to say Heaven Hill, and then questioned, wait, that's William Heaven Hill. No, they just do more than one cool thing. So
this is why you should never doubt yourself.
Yeah, William Heaven Hill's been what's flying around here lately because the 13 years fantastic on that.
There is a football game on right now.
Yeah.
Josh Allen threw a pick. Tennessee drove down and scored.
Who scored?
A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown?
A.J. Brown.
Sweet. I've got a parlay on that game.
Yeah, I took Titans and the Saints. I also put a lot of money on the Saints spread. The fucking bastards couldn't cover last night.
Mine's all props because, props are what saved my ass over the weekend. So I got Derrick Henry to score, Gabe Davis to score, and Josh Allen over 32.5 rushing yards. So,
I mean, if they're down, that's definitely going to help. Yeah, I took. I need 50 points from Derrick Henry and Scott Fish. So I did something that I normally tell people not to do, and that's make a bet shaped around what I need for fantasy. It's never a good thing to do because you tend to ignore smart, convention speaking. But I put money on Derrick Henry 2+ touchdowns, Derrick Henry 3+ touchdowns, and then in a parlay, centered around Derrick Henry scoring a touchdown, over 101 rushing yards, and under receiving yards.
See, so but your luck is just dumb enough to where it'll probably happen.
I mean, I did put. I think it was week 3. I put money on Dak Prescott to be the passing yards leader on that Sunday. So I won that. Yeah, I've won some pretty dumb bets.
I thought I got my ass handed to me over the weekend thanks to the Raiders and the Raiders Chiefs game and the Niners shitting the bed and some other things that didn't go my way. But turns out I bailed my ass out on parlays.
Yeah, I
with prop bets in a parlay.
Seattle not covering against Minnesota killed my big 4-teamer. But then on their last drive, when their money line was plus 540, I accidentally put in the wrong bet. I put in more than I wanted to. And then obviously, so that helped, pay that off. So
my big winner was a parlay for the over on Mike Davis receptions, the over on T. Higgins receiving yards, and the over on Justin Herbert passing yards.
Dude, Herbert
hit all 3 of them.
Legit. Herbert looks really good right now.
It's what everyone wanted Sam Darnold to be. All right. Anyway, I am drinking two brothers Adams Smasher.
Ooh.
So
it is Oktoberfest time for you.
It is Oktoberfest. So, it's a lager, oak aged, which is not that weird for them. A little weird for them actually. They're normally lagered, not in oak, but oak aged. So gives a little bit more depth to it. But yeah, typically one of the better Oktoberfests every year. So we'll drink it and give you a full review midway through. But oak aged Oktoberfest. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news. We're going to do this segment based because that's how I set this show up, even though we hadn't been doing that here recently.
News.
All right, Roger Goodell left open the possibility of playing a Week 18 to make up canceled games. So, as a commissioner and fantasy manager, Dan, how are we handling it if this goes to Week 18? Most leagues that go head-to-head set to stop in Week 17, but if games are canceled, it's going to have playoff implications. Week 17 it could become Week 16. If you're doing anything based on total points, then you got some guys that will have to count in order to make up their full allotment of games and get onto even playing field. How do you handle this one?
I think we got to see how the platforms are going to handle it and see what type of flexibility that they give commissioners. I haven't looked too much deep into it now. I I've been saying all along that they should be doing this. They should be adding on these extra weeks. They should say fuck fantasy. They got to try to protect the players, the fans, and all the personnel surrounding each team as best as they possibly can. But this is a fantasy show, so we got to try to figure out. I don't really know. Honestly, I think total points is generally going to be the best way to go about it. And then you calculate everything at the end, and that kind of helps to offset, trying to figure out how to do a championship, based around weekly score, or based around a championship bracket. Hopefully it doesn't get to this point. Hopefully, they can get the, games figured out. But when more information comes out, once we, see what the platforms decide to do, then we'll make more of a decision.
Yeah, for me, I think you have to say, first off, screw trying to guess when people are going to rest people or trying to play that game of that we normally play by ending a season week 16. I think that if you're going to continue to do head-to-head, you have to make sure that head-to-head, hi Katrina, you have to make sure that head-to-head drags out throughout the entire regular season. Now, you will hopefully know before you have to set up your playoffs or quick enough to adjust them before your playoffs start how deep you're going to go. Now, you don't want to screw anybody in championships, but the other thing is if they go to a week 18, how many games are there going to be? They're going to be like 3 because you can't have your championship happening in week 18. So it gets really tough there. If you're playing a league that has implications based on total points, you're going to have to two-tier this one, I think.
I think you'll have to try to. It depends. Like with what you just said, it depends how many teams are going to be playing in these post 17 weeks. Depends how many weeks they do this for. If you get a team like Tennessee who doesn't obey the rules and they get into a mini dilemma with the amount of cases they got in a short amount of time, then sure. You probably don't count week 17 or 18. You just play it through. You try to play it through the last 2 weeks before everything is really muddled, like we do now, where most championships are played through week 16, and then no one gives a fuck about 17. I think we kind of have to just keep writing that rule, at least for this year. And
just stay the same and trust the managers to have to manage it. And if you got somebody, it's unfortunate, but you knew what you were getting into. I think the only way you don't do that is if you're in a league that's set up for COVID based on total points, like one of my leagues did this year, where there are no head-to-head matchups, and it's essentially it's a best ball league with no bench. So it is essentially what it is this year.
Which is how it's
probably the smartest way to do this year, honestly, because then you can just write it out through the regular season and not have to worry about it, and everything ends up level at the end. So that's it's probably how most things should have been set up. If you've already started head-to-head, you take a lead, go out and say, fuck the records, we're going by total points this year, I guess.
I think you gotta
that's going to be hard too, though, because you may not be setting up a lineup for highest total points. You may be playing floor one week, and if you're up against a bad team that's not very high scoring, you may be trying to play floor to beat them versus trying to throw out a guy like Will Fuller, for example, where you're trying to get all that boom, where if you're playing total points for the whole season, you're probably trying to go boom every week.
I think at this point, if you're where we're at now, you don't want to do too much adjustments, especially in Dynasty where there's people that have already made decisions based on where they're at in their league right now. Redraft is a whole different story. In redraft, I tried to do less redraft leagues this year, at least money ones, really because of it, because it's one season and it just happens to be where we're at right now. But for Dynasty, you kind of just have to just hope at this point. I mean, we're 5 weeks in, and we knew at some point this could have happened, and thankfully the one outbreak hasn't been, I guess, catastrophic to the league. It happened to one team. it moved 1 game or 2 games.
Well, it
Excuse me.
It actually moved about 9.
It moved a lot of games. You're right, but
But
nothing to the point of where we have to play an extra week
yet.
yet.
Yeah.
And we're not in the cold parts yet. Basketball, shout out to them. They fucking did. Adam Silver did this perfectly. About as perfect as you can.
Same thing with Bettman in the NHL. The bubble, the bubble thing worked.
It works. Now, granted, those teams started pretty much in the playoffs. Less teams makes it a lot easier to do bubble locations. But football, this should be in conversation now for those cold weather teams.
Or at least do what the MLB is doing for the playoffs, and you have 3 or 4 different sites that are bubbles, and then you combine your bubbles.
Yeah.
Because that's how the MLB is handling the playoffs. So, yep. Anyway, just some ideas to toss out there, something we need to discuss. We'll go more in depth to that if it actually happens. Right now, just hope it doesn't actually happen. Dalvin Cook left Sunday night's game with a groin injury. It's not expected to be serious, but he is expected to miss week 6. Alexander Madison is what you need to know about that. Over 100 yards in relief for him. He out-touched Mike Boone pretty handily.
Yeah, I mean, Madison's always been the clear handcuff to Dalvin Cook. He's been the one spelling them all year. Spelled them all last year. I do expect Boone to get an uptick in snaps and potentially touches. Both running backs look good. Seattle, I don't understand how they couldn't get 3 fucking feet on Sunday night. But either way, I agree with you. Madison's the guy. Madison's probably on most teams right now. He was one of the premier handcuffs people would draft. Mike Boone used to be rostered, though. Even though, despite Week 16 last year against Green Bay, where he cost people a bunch of championships, he's still he's still a very athletic back who's got a better pass catching profile than Madison. Madison will get the majority of the work, but keep an eye on the situation. Cook should be back after their bye week in week 7. He should be ready by week 8.
Should be ready by week 8. Yeah, so it's a 1-week rental deal.
Yep.
Don't spend a high waiver pick on Mike.
Do not spend a high waiver pick on Boone. Don't spend a lot of fab on Boone. If anything were to go wrong for Cook during this time, then I guess readjust. But as of right now, don't go too crazy on Mike Boone, but he should be rostered.
Yeah. Washington football team quarterback situation. So this was a weird one. First off, Kyle Allen's expected to start going forward. But we got to look back to why this was weird. Dwayne Haskins was benched for Kyle Allen. He was not with the team. Originally reported because of illness, but then reported because the team has just soured on him and his act. That he apparently was doing a bragging act about throwing for 300 yards. And, Ron Rivera didn't take too kindly to it, and now they're looking to trade him. So, Dwayne Haskins is essentially attituded himself out of Washington. Who knew he would be a bust?
I wouldn't go too far. It's been one and a half seasons. One and a half
seasons,
so far.
And they're already done with him. But Alex Smith returned to play, which is a nice story. But
great story.
Yeah, great story. If Kyle Allen struggles at all, Alex Smith, they could turn back to him. He took some hits, proved that he can still play. And while it was typical dink and dunk Alex Smith, it was Alex Smith. He was back. So just something to keep an eye on. You want to watch Terry McLaurin's performance. Obviously, there's a lot of rapport with McLaurin and Haskins, but he is still by and far the best receiving option on this team. Just could be a weird couple weeks of flux for them.
J.D. McKissick, I think, had 7 catches. Yep. I think Gibson still had 4 or 5. Both running backs were targeted by by at least 5. I think it was
Alex Smith was
6 for Gibson, and then I think 8 for McKissick. Obviously, as you mentioned, you still want to roll with McLaurin. Gibson is, of course, so rosterable and playable. Ron Rivera was never committed to Dwayne Haskins. If you had paid attention to any of the offseason stuff since they brought in Ron Rivera, Haskins was never safe. His job was never going to be safe.
Nope.
Now, bust, sure. So far, he's been absolutely terrible. Not like Washington giving him much of a chance. That's like he's slowly becoming the new Josh Rosen.
He hasn't had anybody around him.
Yeah, besides McLaurin, which is more than what Rosen really had.
Yeah, he had
With his time in Arizona, he had
ghost
another
of Larry
rookie.
Fitzgerald. Well, he had Christian Kirk and the ghost of Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, so watch where Haskins go. This is definitely for Dynasty and Superflex. Don't go out there and draft him. I think Haskins will get, if he doesn't get traded, he'll eventually have a shot next year when he gets moved on from in the offseason. So dead for redraft, though, if he was even ever a thing.
Yep, and there will be a trade that happens for that if they want to get rid of him. High round draft pick, a lot of talent. Though it is Josh Rosen all over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I say bust tongue in cheek. Obviously.
I know. I'm not even high on him either. It's just I'm just slightly higher than you.
Well, you were, and I was not a fan of the tape. I was not a fan of the pedigree. Everybody loses their shit over Ohio State quarterbacks, and I would still. I think I went back 15 years and found one that was mildly productive. So
watch out, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was originally on Ohio State.
Yeah, but he made his name at LSU.
I know.
So, anyway, or do we need to bring up Cardale Jones, J.T. Barrett?
Oh God,
I can keep going.
Terrell Pryor.
Anyway. Big news of the weekend: Dak Prescott compound fracture of an ankle dislocation. Underwent surgery on Sunday night. He's done for the season. Rough for this team. Andy Dalton will now be the quarterback. Andy Dalton, we know, very serviceable. It's going to be interesting to see if, in my initial hunch, is the team will rely on Zeke Elliott more, which could really be harmful, particularly to Michael Gallup if they go more towards the running game, as he's kind of been third in the pecking order as far as target volume and everything goes.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see, because Andy Dalton, I think, is certainly capable of running McCarthy's offense. The defense is so bad that I think he probably is going to have to throw about as much as Dak. But I would be cautious with Gallup right now. I think you're still okay with CeeDee Lamb. I don't think it changes the status quo a whole lot on Amari Cooper, which is still pretty boom bust. But what are your thoughts on Dalton and the Dallas offense now?
So it was posted, each receiver, Gallup, Cooper, Lamb, each had 3 targets when Dalton took over. Gallup was more during cleanup time, or it's more situational, I should say. Not cleanup time, but more situational. I think Gallup, the problem is that we expect, the defense is going to suck. We expect them to lean a little bit more on the running game, which is going to slow the pace down, the amount of plays ran down, and then the overall ceiling of this offense. Dak was incredible this year. Dak's been incredible since he came into the league. And when his ADP got great last year, he we've been on him since. Dalton's not Dak, though. Dalton's not going to be able to do what Dak's been able to do this year. He may have some splash games here and there, but this team may just full on go into a pseudo tank mode. You may see more Tony Pollard if they're going to try to win on the running game a bit more. The offensive line has been bad this year, which does not help for Dalton. He's not the same athletic guy not that he was way back with Cincinnati.
No, they're gonna have to get the ball out of his hands. What's gonna happen? So
I do agree with you that I actually like Lamb the most. I think Gallup he is the 3. I don't think you're really playing much in fantasy, in redraft. Maybe buy low on him in Dynasty. If you're looking for a cheap dart throw for next year. Cooper, I think, will have his games. He's been really good, but that's because it's been Dak and the amount of times he's been throwing the football. So we're going to have to wait and see kind of how the target pecking order takes place moving forward. But my guess would be Lamb and Cooper will be fine-ish.
I think that
Gallup. What's that?
I was just going to say, I think that Zeke also is going to see heightened workload just in all facets, probably.
Yeah, I think the team will try to get Zeke going. The problem is the teams playing them will know that, and will also like I said, the offensive line has been bad this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, but it's not like Andy Dalton can't still run a passing game. Also, he's above game manager.
Yeah.
He had So it'll be interesting to watch. But
Yep.
Yeah, I think the point is just that you're a little down. We're a little down on Gallup right now.
Sadly, yes.
All right, this might get me a copyright claim because I don't remember what this drop is. Oh yeah, I'm for
Maybe.
Sure. We're for sure getting a copyright claim for that.
Maybe.
All right. Who are you? So 6? Yeah, I just put 5 twice because I can't count. 6 players. I will read Dan a series of clues. He will make a guess. I will reveal. Usually works better when there's more than 2 people on the show, but since there's only 2 people on the show, this is what we're going to roll with. He didn't know we were doing this, so he did not get anything prepared for me. I didn't know we were doing this until an hour before the show started, to be honest. So, you ready?
Let's do this.
All right, player 1. 9 red zone targets in just 5 games. Currently the tight end 5 and half PPR. 4 touchdowns in 5 games. Name that tight end.
In just 5 games. I wanted to say Jonnu Smith, but they haven't played 5 games. They're not playing their 5th game until tonight. Or they haven't played a 5th game. Either way. Anyways. Jimmy Graham?
It is Jimmy Graham.
Fuck, man. He's got to be leading the league. At least leading all tight ends in red zone.
He is number 1 in red zone targets for tight ends. And maybe the league, actually. He is
tight end 5.
Yeah, he is the tight end 5, mostly touchdown field, but he's getting that volume, and he's getting that volume consistently. It's not like it changed. So the point here, I think, is that Jimmy Graham is a tight end that you're not plugging in and started. Now, granted, there's not a lot of separation between tight end 3 and tight end 14, but touchdown upside matters at that position. That's a difference maker, and Jimmy Graham, 5 what did I say? It was 4 touchdowns in 5 games and 9 red zone targets.
He's doing what he was doing in Seattle, and he's getting a little bit more involved outside the 20s with Nick Foles. So,
yep.
As much as we like to make fun of Jimmy Graham, like he's startable. You have to generally be playing him every week because he's got more touchdown upside than most tight ends in this league right now.
He does. All right, player 2. Currently 4th in the league in receptions, just behind Alvin Kamara and ahead of Allen Robinson. Tied with Darren Waller for 6th in targets with 47. And he leads his much more highly drafted wide receiver counterpart by 10 targets and over 100 yards on the year.
Hey, as soon as I'd read this, I only read the first 3 players' clues, and that was like 5 minutes before we started. This one screamed Robbie Anderson.
It is 100% Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, this one. First off, your love of Robbie Anderson over the last year and a half has been fantastic.
Except it was only after week 10 or so the last couple of years.
He's been
really
so
good to start the season in Carolina.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I love it.
I think better than a lot of people anticipated, and obviously with those numbers, Robbie Anderson is another plug and play start. He's a
must start at this point.
4th in receptions, 6th in targets. He's the wide receiver. He's top 10 on the year, I think. So
he's gotta be. I mean, I think the only thing he's missing is touchdowns, but
yeah. So
I think he may have some of those too.
And I think that he had multiple games over 100 yards already too. I think he's like.
So here's his game stats so far. He's got 1 touchdown this year. He's got 3 games over 100 yards and 1 game
99.
99.
Yep.
He is a bona fide starter.
He's a wide receiver 1.
We talked about Carolina coming into this year. This offense is perfectly set up to let DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey have great years. It hasn't happened for Moore just yet. Robbie was always the wild card, though, because he was a deep threat with New York, but he knew Matt Rule's offense dating back to during his time at Temple in college. So
yep.
that has helped propelled him to get out to his early start. We told you guys, I think, throughout the offseason that he's someone that you should try to get onto your roster, and he's been paying dividends. I know I have him in a bunch of best ball leagues, so I'm living highly on that.
I still have him in Dynasty a couple places. So and I'm making a surprise run in your league.
You are.
I was anticipated to be another rebuild year, and I'm like not doing that, and it's weird.
Well, with the emergence of Robbie Anderson, Jimmy fucking Graham, and Melvin Gordon being
what's old is new again.
I love it. So good.
Justin Jackson too now.
He looked good last night for the amount of especially early on he looked good.
Yep. No, he was the guy. It's just what we said. Josh Kelly saw touches, but Justin Jackson was more efficient. We told y'all, Justin Jackson.
Oh yeah.
All right, player 3. Currently third in yards per attempt amongst running backs with more than 70 carries. Currently top 10 in both attempts and yards amongst all running backs. 10th in yards created at 28 per game. Only downfall, no goal line carries.
Dude, this one screams Devin Singletary to me, but I just don't think he has the attempts to be that high.
Nope.
I got thrown off by the no goal line carries. I thought maybe it'd be Mixon.
No, Mixon's actually a lot higher.
But Mixon's got a lot of goal line carries.
Mixon is, I think, number 2 in carries in general.
Yeah, he is. Zach Taylor got cute for a few weeks, but then figured it shit out.
Smartened up. Ronald Jones.
I was going to say either Miles Sanders or Ronald Jones.
Yep, Ronald Jones is the answer to this one. So 3rd in yards per attempt. The big thing with Ronald Jones is, does it change when Leonard Fournette is healthy? We know LaShawn McCoy is not going to threaten him now. We know Keyshawn Vaughn's not going to threaten him now. I think Leonard Fournette's going to have to come in and be efficient to take some of this away, because he's up at, I think, 4.9 yards per attempt. Not doing the goal line work, so I think that's probably still going to go to Fournette inside of the 20s. But Ronald Jones been efficient enough to be a running back too, locked and loaded. So,
it's basically last year, but last year he's being threatened by Peyton Barber. Obviously, Fournette's better than Peyton Barber. As long as he doesn't, keep dropping passes and keep missing his block, like that game against Chicago Thursday night, I thought for sure one of him or Vaughn were going to get just left at the fucking building. But Jones had another great game on the ground. That's going to be a saving grace. And the massively added on weight hasn't really affected him there in terms of what he's been able to be.
No, and that's why
production wise, but
that's why I wanted to highlight the yards created, because I think it's actually helped him.
I do think their offensive line is better than expected. I do think when Fournette's healthy that he will be a thorn in that side. I think if Jones, I don't think Jones's leash is that big. I think he's the starter until proven otherwise. I just don't think that proven leash is going to be, large. If he has one fuck up in a game, he could be done.
It's gonna go to Fournette, and
that's always going to be, the potential danger in playing him every week.
Yep, and the offensive line comment was another thing I wanted to highlight. I saw a stat today that the 2 closest pass rushers to get to Tom Brady this year were Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack. That was last week.
Yeah, and he did Tristan Wirfs, their rookie tackle they took this year out of Iowa, completely dominated Joey Bosa just last week. So improvement from the rookie, improvement to this offensive line, and just Tom Brady in general. This isn't shocking that a Bucs running back is being effective on the ground. It's just, I'm not surprised that it's Jones. I'm just saying that when Fournette's healthy, I'm not leaving that hill just yet. I will die on that Fournette hill more often than not now.
No, I'm with you. I will also die on the Leonard Fournette hill more often than not. Especially with goal line carries going his way. And again, it's a matter of, it's Jones right now, but he is on a short leash. All right, player 4. Wide receiver 7 over the last 3 weeks. Wide receiver 11 on the season. 16.1 fantasy points per game. First in the league in slot snaps with 248, and fourth in routes run with 191. And despite worries of where he would land in the pecking order, currently the most productive fantasy wide receiver on his team, and that team leads the league in pass attempts.
This is totally a CeeDee Lamb. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as, again, this is a test to just how much Dak threw the football.
I kind of telegraphed it with C there, but yeah, it is CeeDee Lamb. Slot snaps was the thing that surprised me more so than anything, is that they are running him out of the slot a lot. That was, I hadn't really gotten a chance to watch a ton of the Cowboys this year. That was something that I was not aware of, is that he is leading the league in slot snaps, and that is a mismatch of a slot receiver.
I mean, it makes sense because Cooper, he can play both in and out. Michael Gallup has been, I think he would have operated more as a possession slot receiver when coming out of college. He's filled in nicely as that vertical deep threat, for Dak. And Lamb just, again, as you said, makes sense. He is, there's a reason why a lot of people liked him to Hopkins. Lamb getting his start as a slot receiver, he can definitely play outside. For those of you that are worried about him moving outside at some point, don't be. Lamb is going to be a dominant receiver for years to come on this high-throwing offense, even without Dak Prescott leading the way.
Sorry, I got asked a beer question about a pumpkin seltzer, and my thought on it was that, no, don't buy that. It's going to be terrible because there's not enough depth you can get out of a seltzer to make it taste like pumpkin pie.
It's like you might as well just drink a pumpkin nitro beer like I had on a few weeks ago.
Right. Get yourself a pumpkin beer. It doesn't have to be a stout. Ales typically are going to be better for that. But get yourself a pumpkin beer, not a seltzer.
I agree.
All right, number 5. Target volume has gone up every week so far this season. Routes run have increased from just 19 in my first 2 games to 55 in my most recent 2 games. Huge jump.
Yeah.
Top 5 in yards per reception, yards per target, and yards per route run on the season.
Oof. Is it Chenault?
No.
No, it's not Chenault. He wouldn't have.
But it is a rookie.
Oh, Justin Jefferson.
Nope.
What?
Chase Claypool.
Chase. Oh, fucking Chase. One goddamn game.
No.
He's been good.
If you've watched the Steelers, and that is a team I have gotten to watch a lot, Chase Claypool has actually jumped out every game that he's played, and then a huge jump in routes run over the last 2 weeks. So it happens when Deontay Johnson comes back. Obviously, huge game this past week. Something you want to keep an eye on. Definitely should be rostered. So go out and grab him off of waivers because I think he's worth it. He is the real deal. In Dynasty, he's going to be buy high right now. So if you drafted him, good on you. Don't trade him.
He is the de facto number 3. And if Johnson is to miss significant time, it wouldn't surprise me if Chase eventually outsnaps him.
Or if he keeps performing. I mean, Johnson was getting a ton of volume, but he had drop issues. He had route issues. There was something, and Chase Claypool's just looked a lot more explosive.
I mean, he is the deep threat that they've been missing. They drafted James Washington 2 years ago to be that for Brown and Juju. Washington hasn't been able to fill that role. Deontay Johnson was drafted to quote unquote replace Antonio Brown. So they were always missing that Martavis Bryant type of deep threat. And now you get one in what is the biggest receiver in football right now in terms of size. And he's an ultra athlete. I will not apologize for saying that he should become a tight end because he would have been a fucking dominant tight end. But I'm happy to see him emerge as a massively big-bodied receiver. I think that pairs really well for Juju.
I am happy.
I agree with you. I wouldn't so high on him either.
I am happy he's being used as a wide receiver because I thought he was way too fucking athletic to be used as a tight end.
Well,
but
true.
No, but anyway, continue agreeing with me. I like it when you do that.
I know you do. I would not sell high on him. And in fact, if you got it depends. I think he's going to have some boom bust weeks. Like these bigger vertical receivers they're great for best ball. They're not really great for those head to head matchups because you have to kind of guess these weeks. But these are the weeks you want to see from him because if he gets more increased opportunity, that just bodes well for this Pittsburgh offense and for your fantasy roster.
Indeed. All right, number 6. We're going quarterback this time. I'll give you that one, but you would have figured it out.
I think I figured it out with QB5.
Yeah. Even though I wasn't noticeable at all in week 1, quarterback 5 over the last 4 weeks. Over the last 2 starts, thrown for just 7 touchdowns to 1 interception. Lead the league in money throws, but top 7 in danger plays. So consider me a gunslinger who is cool under pressure. 7th in the league in pressured completion percentage.
I first wanted to guess Josh Allen, but I think he actually leads the league in danger plays.
Probably.
And I think he's actually leading the league in money throws because Josh Allen's been a fucking boss.
I'm gonna look that up real quick.
It's not Baker. Baker's not type of gunslinger. He wouldn't have this hot of a start though.
Josh Allen is 5th in money throws and 6th in danger plays.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Shit. Is it not Rodgers? He hasn't thrown a pick this year. Is it Justin Herbert?
It is Justin Herbert.
Holy fuck! I was like, wait a minute, is he throwing a pick? Well, no, he turns the ball over. Like
he's thrown a couple picks. I think
he's
3.
thrown a couple picks.
But yeah, he is 7th in pressured completion percentage. He is 8th in fantasy points per drop back, 6th in danger plays, number 1 actually in money throws. He is off to a great start and is showing that he is the real deal.
Yeah, I am. I just love his picture of player profile.
I do too.
Pressured
completion percentage for me is the big one though, because typically that's what rookies struggle with is pressured completion percentage. 7th in the league, that metric is damn good because that is what killed Josh Rosen was his ability under pressure.
I mean, that's what a lot of people are lower. I mean, there's more to it, but Josh Allen gets a lot of discredit for that. Baker Mayfield as well. Guys that are younger players that are so struggling to kind of put everything together, even though those guys have, especially Josh Allen. Herbert doing this now. I know a lot of people, I know that we weren't high on him. We had Hurts above him pre-drafted. That obviously changed for both of us when the draft was over with. I wasn't particularly high on him, but he's again like Daniel Jones last year and like Josh Allen 2 years ago. When the community shits on a player, it drives his price completely down for no reason, and we continue to be disproven that just because we as a community aren't high on him doesn't mean he can't be good. I mean, we've been proven in back-to-back years. I think Jones might actually be proven right, but Josh Allen has proven a lot of us wrong.
And Jones gets kind of a pass because of what he doesn't have around him. But Josh Allen proved people wrong. Remember Patrick Mahomes was number 3 for a lot of people.
Shit, he was. I mean,
but
Nick was 1. I think we all flip-flopped on.
Yeah, we were all high-ish, but Justin Herbert came in this year at 4, 3 post-draft. There are some things we didn't like, but we never questioned the talent, and I think that's what it comes down to is don't question the raw talent and the raw ability. For everything I didn't like about Josh Rosen and everything I didn't like about Dwayne Haskins, I liked about Justin Herbert. I just liked it more out of Tua, Hurts, and Burrow. But it's a thing where there wasn't anything about Justin Herbert that I recall other than some decision-making things that had me super down on him. It was just that, it was the landing spot was good. They obviously invested in him. It was just that the talent was there. It was just some of the decision making stuff. I thought it was going to be more of a developmental thing. So for him to come on as strong as he has, again, to me, he's what I wanted Sam Darnold to be.
Yeah, like there was for me there was just no lack of if you go back and look at his play, if you go back and look at the box scores and just where he stood in key areas, he never really gotten better. And that's more, I guess, it's not more on him. I guess it's an indictment on Oregon. Oregon made him a check down guy, and now we're watching him throw fucking, dimes to Keenan Allen while leading, to his main side, his strong side, but he's being pressured by some of the best pass rushers in football. So this is looking really great for him. Hasn't won a lot of games yet, unfortunately for him. I don't think he's won a game yet. But the sky looks great for them. It's gonna somehow, some way, he's gonna play well enough to have Anthony Lynn keep his job, which he's become on my shit list for most of on the top of my coach's shit list here. So also, Derrick Henry scored a touchdown.
Boom, got that.
I got one of those off the way.
All right, now I need Gabe Davis, and I need 32 Josh Allen rushing yards.
Right now, Allen 7 yards rushing, Davis 24 yards receiving, 14-7, 3 minutes into the second quarter.
Sweet.
So
on the way.
Let's do it. I don't know if Henry's going to get 100 yards rushing. He's got 6 yards on 6 carries.
Yeah, I did.
He's got a touchdown.
I did not take the yards bet on Derrick Henry because the over-under was like a 101.5.
Like I said, I went all in on one of those prop bets, but if he can somehow get 3 touchdowns, I'm gonna be pretty happy.
The prop was 101. All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Justin Herbert being the real deal, this beer is the real deal, which is why I have to do the review on it right now and kind of interrupt our current game talk because I have one drink of it left. Yeah, for Oktoberfest, a lot of times you get a lot more roasty notes out of them. Especially a lot of the craft ones, I try to go more traditional, so you get a lot more roasty, bready, not so much sweet. This one's sweet, though. You can definitely taste what the oak barrel imparted onto it. Little bit more caramel to it. A little bit sweeter, a little bit more depth than what you get out of a lot of fest beers. Overall, probably one of the best I've had throughout the season. This is actually probably the best Oktoberfest that I've ever had, and that's high praise. It's one of my favorite styles of beer, and this one, Adam Smasher just absolutely knocks it out of the park. So if you have to be lucky enough to find this, absolutely recommend grabbing this. It's got a great body to it, great mouthfeel, very, very good flavor profile all the way through. Little bit on the sweeter side, so if you're a traditionalist, you might not like it, but the oak definitely shows out and gives it a unique twist compared to other Oktoberfest beers.
I'm going to jump in and give mine real quick. That way we can kind of get through these previews here. So again, drinking Shirley 14. 14 is a barrel-aged barley wine aged on Parker Heritage wheat whiskey barrels. So for a barley wine, I typically expect something a little bit thicker, something a little bit heavier. I had Orin last night, which is from Half Acre. That's a half barrel, half bourbon, half brandy, and that was extremely thick. I went into this one thinking about the same, but on the pour, it poured a lot clearer than expected. It was definitely not as thick. I will call it thin, but not in a negative way. It's not as it doesn't present the same filling aspects as if you were drinking, a traditional barrel-aged barley wine or just a barrel-aged stout. So it makes it an easier sipper, full-on flavor to it. You get the caramel, the toffee, little bit of breading to it. I've always been a bit lukewarm on barley wines, but I'm trying to get into this style a lot more because of the barrel aging aspects to it. My company that I work for, Benny's, just put out a distill collab called Downstate Love, which is a rye barrel-aged barley wine that is fantastic. So I'm trying to get my footing into this more. I definitely wouldn't rank this one above those two. But this is if you want to try out barley wines and you're good with the 12-ish% that is going to come with this when you're drinking it, I definitely give it a try.
Sure. Yeah, barley wine's something I've never really jumped into, but a rye barley wine, given knowing what rye imparts on something, I think would be pretty solid.
So it's so ours is it's Knob Creek rye barrels we gave them.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Knob Creek rye, higher proof, a little spicier. Probably going to be fantastic.
it is. It does not drink like a traditional. I don't think it drinks like a traditional barley wine. I get a lot more.
Probably got a lot more depth to it.
Yeah, I get a lot more of like roastiness to it.
Yeah.
A little more chocolate on it.
Yep.
And caramel, obviously, because barley wine. So, yeah, let's jump into these previews.
All right, let's jump into these previews. Starting it off, Falcons, Vikings. Falcons, 3.5-point underdogs, plus 162 odds. Over under on this game is 54.5. I like the over. You got two capable offenses and two bad defenses. I don't want to touch the money line. I don't want to touch the spread because who the hell knows?
So we didn't mention it for those of you that may not know Dan Quinn. And
I skipped over that. Dan Quinn, Thomas Dimitroff have been fired.
Rightfully so, by the way.
Yeah, Raheem Morris is going to take over as the interim head coach. Dirk Cutter's still in as the offensive coordinator. So Falcons offense should be relatively just as potent. Defense will be interesting.
Yeah, I think Minnesota wins this game. I agree with you that the game's probably going to go over in its points. I wouldn't be surprising, though, if there is a bit of a jump start. We see this happen every now and then when a team switches coaches. It tends to let a spark underneath some of the asses of the players. You get to see a little bit more loose playing. So I think the score definitely goes over. I don't hate Minnesota's money or a spread. 3.5 and almost even odds I think is enticing because I think they'll beat them by at least a score. I say that, but if people are looking to pivot away from a game in terms of betting wise, because it may just be hard to gauge on, I would just stick to the over then.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. As far as fantasy goes, Russell Gage has fallen off a cliff. He's droppable. Julio Jones, you'd think maybe could be back for this game. Calvin Ridley, Todd Gurley, though, definitely for the Falcons. Those are the two that I'm really looking at. Gurley's had himself a good couple weeks.
And Matt Ryan, too. I mean, this is almost a get-right game for this offense.
Yeah, it should be. If Julio's back, you start him. I'm not getting cute with anything outside of Julio, Godwin. Gurley at this point is a must-start, essentially. He's been efficient.
He's been great.
Carries per game's down, but he's been great. And Ridley's been an absolute beast this season. For the Vikings, Justin Jefferson, a little bit of a down week last week. I think they're going to have to throw enough, especially in the absence of Dalvin Cook, where Justin Jefferson's going to be more utilized this week. Adam Thielen, actually, surprisingly, the wide receiver 1 right now. So
is he really?
Yeah, he is. In half PPR. So you're absolutely going that route. Alexander Madison, definitely plug him in and start him. While this is a team that wants to run first until you can stop the run, which the Falcons don't really do that well. They're going to go with Madison until they have to run the football, so you should have a decent floor this week. But outside of that, you're not really looking at tight ends or any depth pieces for the Vikings.
I think this is pretty chalk. Obviously, you're playing all your big pieces for both teams. I mean, both teams, you're playing Justin Jefferson now. His involvement in the offense, his involvement within this offense screams play. And because we expect this to be a high scoring game, especially given the high over under at 54.5. This is a great week for those potential flex plays. Like if you're gonna create a tiebreaker on a player, it's generally going to be because of potential scoring output.
All right, Ravens Eagles. The Ravens favored by 7.5, negative 335 odds. Over under on this one is 48. So, Ravens money line in this one for me, probably.
Yeah, just throw it a part of a money line
and a parlay. Yeah, I think the Ravens do win this football game. As far as the Ravens go, though, they're winning, but fantasy-wise, outside of Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson, not a whole lot going on there.
This is like me last week. Dobbins again, another 30-yard run, and he's getting out-touched and snapped by both Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram. Like, I think that transition could start happening sooner than later, though. If Dobbins continues to be this efficient with the football, there's only so long that they can Nick Chubb him. But just like you said, though, I think we have to. It's just Jackson, Mark Andrews, maybe Marquise Brown, if you're feeling saucy.
I'm not feeling saucy on that one at this point.
No, I'm not either. I'm not even that. I mean, for the most part, Baltimore kept Joe Mixon in check. Obviously, you're not benching Miles Sanders, but you're gonna have to,
no, you're not.
Change your expectations on him,
and you're gonna
a little bit.
Yeah, you will, and you're gonna have to watch Eagles wide receivers throughout the week. Yeah, that's the best advice I got. Is you can't really. This is not a good game for fantasy, basically. Baltimore continues to score points, but they don't really do it through any one person. As far as the
and Lamar
Eagles,
Jackson hasn't even been. I mean, he's the QB 11 on the year.
Yeah,
right now.
From
what I saw.
Yeah, and as far as the Eagles go, Travis Fulgham was their best wide receiver this past week, and it hasn't been the same on any given week. So,
yeah,
and Marquise Brown likely to get Darius Slay. So,
it's not
a route I want to go.
Not pretty for a lot of things. I don't hate the over. It just depends how much Magic can Wentz, I guess, find. I don't love them. I don't love the spread at 7.5. I'm not excited about this game overall.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, Bears Panthers. What should be a pretty neutral game. Panthers favored by 2.5. -152 on the money line. This is another good game to just take the Bears money line. Because the Panthers have been playing well. This is a fairly even game, and the Bears have been finding ways to win. Over/under on this one at 44. I think this one probably goes over.
You would think so. I mean, Panthers don't have a great defense. Chicago's offense has been
passable,
inconsistent. It's been passable.
Inconsistent's a good word for it.
I would lean Carolina if I'm playing any line, just because they're at home. Not to say that I don't think Chicago can win this game. I probably wouldn't play. I'd probably just take the spread. I can see Carolina beating them by at least 3, and I can also see Chicago playing. So if I do anything, it'd be. I do like.
I'm thinking
I don't
Chicago.
know. It can go like just like a 50-50, but I do think the Panthers will win. I just don't love their odds. I guess it's my best way to put it.
Yep. As far as fantasy in this game, McCaffrey expected to miss again, so you're riding Mike Davis in that receiving floor, especially in any form of PPR league. Robbie Anderson has been otherworldly. DJ Moore becomes more of a question mark. No pun intended.
I'm so playing him.
Yeah,
and I mean he got it going last week, and it's more in Anderson and Mike Davis is the offense. Ian Thomas has been a complete
nothing
bust.
Yeah, and Jalen Johnson's been pretty susceptible, and it just Fuller's probably going to draw Anderson. I'd expect Jalen Johnson to end up with DJ Moore. But yeah, as far as the Bears go, it's pretty, David Montgomery, again, it's a game script neutral game, so you can run him out there. Allen Robinson, we just talked about Jimmy Graham earlier, and Allen Robinson's leading the world right now. As far as, targets over the last couple weeks go and receptions over the last couple weeks go. So, 16 targets last week for Allen Robinson. So you're following that.
Oh, my God. I'm just glad they got him involved early enough, and it wasn't like against the Colts.
Yep. Speaking of Colts, Bengals Colts. Colts favored by 8 in this one. Definitely on the Bengals money line for this. Or not Bengals money line. Sorry, Bengals spread.
8?
8.
I mean, I know Colts' defense has been better than expected.
Offense is
Cleveland
not.
offense is pretty bad. Jonathan Taylor is going the route of Miles Sanders, struggling to start. And God forbid how bad that passing offense is.
Yeah.
I mean, Bengals. I might throw money on the Bengals money line here. I mean, I know the Colts defense has been really good this year. But if the game stays close, the spread's a good bet, though. I do agree with you there. +8.
Especially if you
I can
tease
see
it
the
a little
Bengals
bit.
getting up early too, and maybe they lose, but they lose late.
Yeah.
The same way the Chargers have been doing all year. As for the over/under, I think it's set perfectly, and I think you can go in either direction. At 46.5, I personally don't like it.
Yep. Joe Mixon's gotten it right, though, over the last couple weeks, so you're running him out there. Stay away from Joe Burrow in this game because of how good the Colts defense has been. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, I think you can generally start them most weeks with confidence. Obviously, Boyd over Higgins. AJ Green, don't touch him. As far as the Colts go, Jonathan Taylor, I guess. Trey Burton's been their top tight end, but the receiving game hasn't netted much of anything. So, Colts offense is generally something I want to steer away from right now.
Yeah, it's
not that the Bengals defense is great. DJ Reader's out, by the way. That's another pointer towards Jonathan Taylor. DJ Reader got put on IR, so they're down to DT.
I'm sticking with just Jonathan Taylor, and I don't even think there's a receiver you can even get cute with. So
no, there's not. T.Y. Hilton saw some target volume come back, but the passing offense has just been so bad that even against a woeful Bengals passing defense, it's not like you can trust anything. So
I agree.
It's just Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Browns Steelers favored by 3.5, a negative 194 odds. Over under on this one is 51. Steelers money line for me, probably.
Yeah, it's a good one to pair up with. I don't hate the Browns here. Browns have looked really good.
They have looked really good.
Since week 1 where they got their asses kicked by Baltimore, they've really settled into their own. Stefanski is really not missing a beat from just switching offenses. He gets essentially the same offense in the Browns ahead of Minnesota. Just a little bit more depth to it and a better offensive line. So not in love with the running backs. I know Kareem Hunt should get the majority of the works. You're going to throw him out there. Outside of Miles Sanders' big touchdown run, it just wasn't great for him this week.
Yeah.
Cleveland does have a better offensive line, and they have a little bit more weaponry to kind of balance out this team where you just can't hone in on one facet of the game like you can against Philadelphia. I don't love Kareem Hunt this week. I'm still going to play him because you have to. He's going to get all the volume you need to give you a floor. You're probably going to be hoping for a touchdown.
Yeah, I'd expect things out of Jarvis Landry this week too. You figure that Joe Hayden's going to end up on Odell. So I expect a lot of work for Jarvis Landry this week. I'd plug Jarvis Landry in and start him. Austin Hooper had a solid day, but I'd stay away from that. Fitzpatrick, obviously good coverage. As far as Baker goes, gonna not recommend streaming him either. Good pass rush there for the Steelers, just not good for quarterbacks. As far as the Steelers are concerned, Chase Claypool is what everybody's watching. A lot of that's going to depend on Deontay Johnson. If he misses, Chase Claypool is an absolute start. As far as Juju, couple down weeks. You still run him out there every week, though. Right now. Just because this week, at least as I see it, doesn't present a lot of better options. And James Conner is, essentially been the backfield. Ben Roethlisberger is an okay stream, too, if he's available.
Likely based on where you took a Juju in your drafts, you're probably still throwing him out there unless you got hot with some of your late round picks or your early free agent flyers. So I do agree with you there. A lot of people are going to get cute and play Claypool, which is probably still going to be the right call.
I think it will be, especially if Deontay Johnson misses time. But even if he doesn't, how do you take a guy out of the offense that was that explosive?
Yeah, I mean, it happens it seems to happen every week with one of these teams where just something, game script wise. I actually kind of like the under in this game. I can also see if Pittsburgh gets up early, they just ride out James Conner, and then the passing game gets kind of null. The Browns with Stefanski wants to establish the run and take away their offense. So I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes under. I think 51 is a fair setting mark, as both teams can put up points pretty quickly. I just think if both teams get if one of these teams gets what they want, I think scoring will be driven down.
Mm-hmm. Detroit, Jacksonville. Jacksonville, 3.5 point underdogs. Over under in this one, 54.5. It's a high over under for that game.
Yeah, no shit, Jesus.
I'd probably take the under.
Oh man, I don't even know. I mean, both defenses are terrible, and we know that Minshew can keep up. We definitely know what the Lions offense can do if they're clicking. Probably decent weather, so weather's not going to affect it. I kind of like Jacksonville money line too. Home team getting plus odds. Both teams have looked pretty bad this year. This should be a get right game for a lot of players that have been struggling. Guys like Marvin Jones and maybe Chark if he's healthy. If Chark isn't healthy, I like the under more because I don't know if Jacksonville's going to be able to. I don't know if they'll be able to keep up vertically with the Lions in scoring, so they could get out to an early deficit and then just kind of compound themselves out of it. But I do like Jacksonville money line, especially if Chark's healthy in place.
Yep. As far as fantasy goes, Kenny Galladay's obvious. Adrian Peterson has been the lead back for the Lions. Go ahead and flex him in, I guess. James Robinson, flex him in. Is DJ Chark, if he plays, you're obviously starting him. Keelan Cole, if he doesn't. Keelan Cole, maybe even if he does. Marvin Jones is not something I'm going to throw out there as an option, because even without Kenny Galladay, when Marvin Jones had a chance to just go absolutely off, didn't happen. So
yeah, he was garbage.
He was pretty garbage. So, in this game, Keelan Cole I'm looking at is a start. Both quarterbacks are streamable, and yeah.
I don't even like. I'm so like I would still play LaVisca. Like he is secure too.
Chanot's been good,
and he's been he was a target volume guy last week in a game that could mirror similar game scripts if Detroit gets up early. Yeah, I'm definitely rolling LaVisca out there with some confidence behind it.
All right, yeah, I'm on board with LaVisca. Yeah, and he's been good over the last couple weeks too. So, yeah. Chenault's not a bad start either. That's a good call out. Cole, I think, is your alternate piece if Chark for some reason can't go.
Diggs has 9 targets right now in the first half.
Holy crap.
9. Yeah, that he's going over.
So
is Allen. Oof.
Did not need to hear that one.
All right.
All right, the football team and the Giants. This is going to be a dumpster fire.
This is going to go over 43.
Oh, yeah.
It's at even odds at plus 100 right now.
I'm taking the over.
Oh, give me the fucking... This screams Kyle Allen 3-touchdown game.
All of them to Terry McLaurin.
I can see Antonio Gibson getting back involved.
Yep.
Giants as 3-point favorites are even getting in plus 105.
Yep, Devonta Freeman, not a bad start this week, and as he gets more acclimated to the offense, and Darius Slayton is somebody you can run out this week also. Evan Ingram, start with confidence. This is going to be a higher scoring game than I think a lot of people think.
It's going to be fucking ugly. Both defenses are in play at this point. Jesus.
Especially Washington with that bad offensive line.
I'm really hoping this doesn't backfire on us, though. I'm really hope this isn't like a 6-3, 7 turnover game. But
well, it certainly could be.
It could be. So you're gonna take that risk if you take our advice.
Yeah, you are. But that's on you.
That's on you. That's right.
Jets Dolphins, another one that figures to be pretty ugly. Over under on this one's 47.5. Dolphins negative 390 favorites, favored by 8. I'm taking the spread in this for the Dolphins.
I want to think their
offense has been decent. The Jets have been dog shit.
They've looked great. Fitz has looked fantastic. Fitz will give you he'll give you two sides, though. You either get great fits or you get really bad fits. The bad fits shows up. They're not covering the spread.
It's been the story for years, but the Jets' weakness is football, as ESPN put it. So.
I take the over. I think I just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't like this game. It's one of those games where it's a high enough spread where I want to stay away because I think both teams could cover with ease. I don't like the money line enough for the Dolphins, and I don't feel confident enough in the Dolphins to put them in do a money line parlay. The over just screams perfect, though. It just screams like I don't see how this game goes under unless bar an injury or just we get bad magic or we get Fitz bad magic. I don't see this game going under. I think 47.5 is a bit less than what they should be given, especially after what the Dolphins just did to the Niners.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not the Jets can keep up with.
I don't think points. They can. That's why I'm saying take the spread, take the Dolphins at 8-point favorites. I like that. Jamison Crowder for the Jets.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Preston Williams went off this past week. Him and Devontae Parker, as well as Myles Gaskin, both formidable starts. Yeah.
I'm not impressed with Williams. One good game is not going to turn around the fact that he's been pretty inconsistent this year.
Bad defense.
Just give me the three. I mean, it could be Isaiah Ford again. It was him 2 weeks ago. Just give me Parker, Fitz, and Gaskin. I mean,
Gesicki also.
I think Gesicki. If the Dolphins do get up early, then it's going to be what we saw against the Niners, and it's just going to be who gets the few passing attempts.
Start your Dolphins.
Sure, and the defense.
And the defense for sure.
And their kicker. I think Sanders has been a beast again this year.
Yep. Packers Buccaneers over under on this one's 54. This one's probably going over. I like the Packers to win this one too. So if you're into same game parlays, the money line, or even just the 2.5-point favorite thing is worth it to me.
Yeah, I think this I can maybe see Tampa Bay getting their shit together, but Green Bay is especially Rodgers is playing so out of his mind right now. That in favorable weather conditions, even with how potentially all Devontae Adams, he just keeps getting it done. Like even without Lazard, fucking Robert Tonyan, 3 touchdowns.
Yep, Lazard's out. ESB activated off of IR. Robert Tonyan still very much startable though in this one. Robert Tonyan should hold the number 2 role. Devontae Adams is back. So Devontae Adams will be full go. And Aaron Jones, obviously, Aaron Rodgers. Robert. There's nothing in here I want to get cute with. You can try to run out ESB if you want, but first game back from a guy we haven't seen anything from in 2 years. Even if they're depleted at wide receiver, I don't really want to trust that. I think a lot of that's going to go Tanyan's way.
No, I think you're just going Rodgers, Jones, Tonyan if you need tight end help.
Yep. As far as the Buccaneers go, you're going to have to watch their wide receiver health, and it's Tuesday, so not a whole lot we can give you there. Watch, what goes on with Scotty Miller and particularly Chris Godwin. If their wide receivers are back, you're going to play them.
Yeah. Watch the line, too. If you think Tampa Bay is going to win this game, even without the news of some of these guys, some of their key playmakers on offense, if they get back healthy, that line is going to continue to push probably into Tampa Bay's way. So just be mindful. I did some early betting and got Green Bay at some pretty favorable odds.
Yeah.
Them and the Rams. So it pays to keep your eye out for that shit.
Yep. As far as one other note on the Bucs, Jair Alexander, good cornerback, probably going to end up on Mike Evans. So Just gonna depend on who's healthy though.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job last week against Ridley.
Yep. So,
Zero catches.
Yep, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Sorry. Here.
Yep, but 0 catches on Ridley. So he'll likely draw Mike Evans. That it's gonna open up Scotty Miller or Chris Godwin. So I'd rather start those two. You can fade Mike Evans this week.
I would. Yeah.
Rams Niners. Rams 3.5 points favorites in this one. I would definitely bet on that. Given the shit show that San Francisco's been.
I can't believe it's still 3.5.
I thought
I know the Niners at home, but that team it's starting to scream we may be tanking. And like the fact is that they benched Jimmy G. They said that he survived week 5 without any setback. They can come out and say that it was injury, to the reason why he got benched, but he was fucking terrible against the Dolphins.
Well, they actually came out today and said the opposite. He had no setbacks with his ankle injury.
That's what I'm saying. He had no setbacks, so it was clear that he was benched because of bad play.
Even though a lot of, armchair doctors say it looked like he couldn't put weight on the ankle, but regardless of what it was, that offense ain't right, and Los Angeles is going to win this game. As far as what you do, steer away from 49ers receiving options. Raheem Mostert, George Kittle. Really the only two things I want to start there. As far as the Rams go, you're pretty status quo. Darrell Henderson.
He got back.
Solid
he got
game,
back at it again this week.
Even with Cam Akers back. So I think you're flexing in Darrell Henderson. As you would most of the time. This game could very well go Rams favors and just towards the Rams favor and just end up into a running game. Which
is going to favor Darrell Henderson.
Going to favor Darrell Henderson. It's going to fade Jared Goff a bit. As far as wide receivers go, Cooper Kupp more than Robert Woods in this one for me.
I'm playing both. I view them both the same. Woods got the big touchdown last week. Kupp got it 2 weeks ago. It doesn't they're both mid to high wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. And if the Niners can keep the Rams thrown a little bit, that just bodes well for them. It bodes well for Goff. I'm really happy to see Gerald Everett eating more and more into Tyler Higbee. Just want to just keep driving in that victory dagger of us saying the fade.
I was also
fucking
happy
Higbee.
To see that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I said we.
Yep.
Also, just one side note to watch, not because I'm a big Cam Akers fan, but just keep note of how snaps look like. They're still playing Henderson with confidence, but Akers looked good for the small run he had. This just means I think Malcolm Brown is dead, and Akers can find himself in some flex value at some point.
Sure. All right. Cowboys, Cardinals. Cardinals 2.5 points favorites in this one.
As they should.
Over under in this one's 54.
I'm staying away from game total in this one.
It's tough because we don't know what the Dallas offense is going to look like with Andy Dalton. We think it'll be okay, but is it going to be Dak Prescott levels? Probably not.
And the Cardinals just haven't looked great.
Yeah.
I think they're 3-2. Kyler Murray has looked more like a rookie this year than I think at times that he did last year. Obviously you're going to play Hopkins. Obviously you're playing Cooper and Lamb, Zeke. You can probably play Kenyon Drake. This is another good matchup, but it seems to be a true 50-50 with Chase Edmonds at this point. So I would lean to stay away from Drake if I can. I wouldn't bet on this one that much though. Maybe throw some money in. If you really want to bet this game, throw small money at maybe one of the money lines or add it to a parlay for just a little extra boost to it. But I definitely would not play the over-under. I want to see what Dallas looks like.
Yeah, we talked about Dallas earlier as far as what you do with this. We think that Zeke is going to be more leaned on. Michael Gallup's a sit. You're going to end up with more Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb out of this offense. Dalton Schultz even is in play here, but Michael Gallup's what I'm steering off of. As far as the Cardinals go against the Cowboys, you mentioned Sinclair, Kenyon Drake. I think that Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds both could be flex-worthy this week. Hopkins, obviously, you're starting him, and then you don't get QQ with any of the other options here. Kyler Murray, you're starting him. Andy Dalton, fine as a flex play this week, or as a streamer.
I mean, we lost some quarterbacks in super flex leagues. I think he is, if he's in your free agent pool, which he could be. This is where you throw the farm in. I don't generally recommend spending all of your fab if you're rolling with fab. But this is the type of play you've been waiting for. This is what helps potentially win championship. If Dalton has proven he could be a very viable fantasy quarterback, and this is still a very friendly fantasy offense.
Yep.
We just need to see it before we bet it. But I think you don't have to get, too cute to stay away from guys like Lamb or Cooper.
All right. Anything else on that game?
No.
Okay, cool. That's all we got for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back on Sunday. I think it'll be both of us.
Yep, I'll be here.
I will be here as well. So we'll be back on Sunday. It'll be both of us for Sunday morning live stream. Look for that probably around 10 a.m.
Word up. We'll see you guys then.
Yep. See you.
Peace.